Hi, this is Bill Prater, and welcome to the Business Builder Show, where we feature champions in their respective industries from all over the planet. Our mission is to provide you with timely, provocative, and actionable resources that inspire, promote, and accelerate your quest for business excellence. Talking about that, today we're going to talk about how to build a lucrative and impactful consulting and professional coaching business from your expertise. And Ann Carden will talk us through that. Now, Ann is a top business growth expert, marketing and sales strategist, and a consultant. She's the CEO of her own company called Ann Carden Inc., and she's the expert in attraction, marketing, and media agency and brand. She's been actually coaching and consulting for the past 14 years and has worked with several hundred small business owners, consultants, coaches, and professional entrepreneurs with 80 different types of business to help them further their success. And talking about furthering success, Ann, who do you serve?
Thanks so much for having me here, Bill. I help coaches, consultants, professional entrepreneurs who really want to grow and scale a high-end premium business. So they want to get the best clients, they want to get top dollar, and I really help them do everything from build their influence in the market to their packaging, pricing, proposals, the whole 9 yards, and then even building their team and scaling.
So I'm imagining that these people have some sort of a problem or a roadblock, Ann, that you've typically see over and over again. So what are those problems that you tend to see and solve?
Yeah, so I didn't always work with coaches and consultants. I fell into that market. I was working with small business owners, helping them grow their business. And I was part of a coaching organization, and a lot of the coaches were struggling. So a lot of the business coaches were struggling. I took a step back and cracked the code. Okay, how do I make this business work? Because I'd already built a lot of other businesses and sold them, but I was struggling with my coaching and consulting. So when I really figured it out, I put it in place. My business exploded. And then this company that I was part of, they started promoting me to the other coaches. And they were saying, look what Ann's doing, look how this is working for her. And so a lot of those coaches were coming to me wanting help. And I felt like I was building the company's business and not my own business. And so I said, okay, there's a need here. But when I would get to talking to a lot of these coaches, they were just struggling because they didn't have confidence in what they were trying to sell. They didn't have the expertise. And I would say to them, what was your background? And they would tell me, and it was completely disconnected from maybe they had never even owned a business, or they were a teacher, or they were something that had nothing to do with business. And so I would say that's really why you're struggling, because you're trying to go back to school to learn how to be a coach, but you've also got to learn how to build a business on top of it and market and sell and all the pieces. So that's really where my Expert in You brand came from. I started helping them package, market, and sell their expertise and building a business around that. So no matter what their background was, they all had skills, they all had knowledge and experience that could be really put together, pulled together to build a business. And then they had the confidence to go out and sell it because they already knew their stuff.
I'm curious, maybe you could tell us a story or a case study about how you would typically go about helping somebody out. How do they find you, Ann? And when you get started, what process or method or system do you run them through?
Yeah, so I really have a 4-step system for my Expert in You. And the first thing we're going to look at is their packaging, what they are going to sell, what is their revenue model going to look like. And that is going to be the process is I'm going to find out, what have you done? What have been things that you're proud of? All of the things that go into how can we put this together now into some sort of a package or a revenue model. And so I want to learn everything that they've accomplished. I'll give you an example. There was a guy several years ago when I started working with coaching, and he had bought into a coaching franchise to be a business coach. But he was one of those people. He had never owned a business, he had never run a business, and he was really struggling. And he had paid a lot of money to the franchise. And he said, I drank the magic Kool-Aid, buying into this, but it hasn't gone anywhere for me. So I said to him, what was your background? Well, come to find out, he had won awards in sales. He was an expert in sales. He had done a lot. He had been doing sales for years. I said, why don't you build your business around that? Let's put together something that's going to help you be able to go out and help. You can help individuals with sales. You can help sales teams with sales. You can leverage everything that you've done. And so when he did that, his business just took off and exploded. So the first thing I'm going to look at is what do they bring to the table and how can we leverage that? And then let's build a revenue model around that. What kind of money do you want to make? What do you need to make? What do you have to make for taxes and your future? And so we're going to look at all those things. The other thing I do, because I help people build in their expertise, whether they're a doctor who's getting ready to sell their practice and they want to teach other people what they've done. I've worked with CEOs and top level executives that wanted to build a coaching and consulting business. So the first thing we do is, okay, how can we pull together all of that expertise and package that? But then we want to make sure that we get you positioned in the right way in the market so that you look different, you look premium, you're not starting by selling something low, you're starting at the top of your market because you already know what you're doing. You've spent years already learning your expertise. You don't need to start out down here just because coaching or consulting is new for you. You can move right to the top of the market and you can charge the fees that you really deserve to get paid for the expertise that you have. So those are the things that we do. So then we want to get them positioned for those premium clients, figure out who those premium clients are going to be, what's their message, all the marketing foundation that is going to go, their brand, their influence, all of that. We put all of that in place. And then we have to promote them, right? You can't build in a vacuum. So we have to go out and we have to look at what's going to be the best marketing strategy for them to promote themselves. And that's going to be dependent on who their ideal clients are going to be and what they're trying to accomplish. So we put that in place. I help them with the sales process so they can close those big sales, those big deals, and feel very confident about it and have people happily want to pay them that money. And so all of this is just a soup to nuts. But then, okay, how do you grow this now? What are the other things you can do to grow your business? Because we know in coaching and consulting, you can max out, you can tap out. And so you've got to have other ways if you want to keep growing and build revenue. There are many other ways that you can add to your business to build revenue. And so then we look at what are those ways. Automation could be one of those, building a small team could be ways that we do that as well. So really helping them put all of those pieces in place.
Fantastic. Well, I think you touched a lot because going through that methodology. But here's the question. How are you different from your competition out there?
Yeah, with what I'm really different with is the fact that I help people build premium. There are not very many people out there. Most people are out there teaching low end programs. They'll call it high ticket, but high ticket might be $2,000 or $5,000. I have a client, for example, closed a $413,000 sale. So when you're working in a more premium level, most of my clients, like their bottom cash offer is going to be around $25,000. They'll be making $25,000, $50,000 packages, $100K packages, even much more than that. And again, it really comes down to who they're targeting and who they're working with. So playing at that higher end. So that is one thing that really sets me apart in the market.
Let's talk about your business. So you mentioned that you fell into it, but maybe you can go back and relive for our audience how you built your business. What were the major milestones, maybe? What were some successes, some failures that you learned from? Give us the story, so to speak.
Oh boy. How much time do we have?
We got enough for your story.
I made a lot of mistakes when I came into the coaching space, first of all. Excuse me, I bought into a lot of programs, a lot of strategies. Okay, I'm just going to give you a few here. Hang on. One of the things I was taught is if you're bringing people in for business coaching, which is what I was doing, start them out very low. And then as you start getting them results, you can scale their fees. I never found that to work well. number one, I stayed broke. I stayed overworked. But the other side of that is it didn't bring in the right people. It didn't bring in clients that had any money and so that was one mistake I made. Another mistake or thing that I heard is sell something low ticket and then you ascend people. So that was the funnel, the whole funnel thing that people see online. Some of this was online, some of it wasn't. And so that was another mistake. I felt frustrated with a lot of the things that were being taught out there because they were too cookie cutter. I am not a cookie cutter coach. I'm a customized coach. So when I work with my clients, there's not a one size fits all. And that's a big problem that I have with the market. And that was the problem I had with the coaching organization that I was part of. Not that they didn't have good bells and whistles and things like that, but it was so cookie cutter. You could go to a networking event and everybody, the 5 other coaches in the room had the same pitch, right? Or 5 other coaches were trying to sell the same thing. So those were mistakes and investments. Not that I didn't learn. I believe there's value in everything, and everything moved me closer to what I do now. But those were a lot of the things that I was doing that was making mistakes. And it was very frustrating. Also, how I was taking payments with my clients was another problem because let's just say, for example, if you want to get your business to a place where you're having $25,000 months or $50,000 months, and you're taking $1,000 a month from a client, you've got to be working with 25 or 50 clients, right? But I was taught those strategies. I was also taught to bring in lower value clients, and I wasn't really taught how to bring in premium clients that I could really help or that I really wanted to help, I should say. Those were a lot of the mistakes I made, but that's also where my process came from. When I took a step back, I said, okay, I built a lot of businesses. I've sold them. I know how to build business. I understand business, but this is a different animal. Like something is not working here because I'd never done a coaching business. I had never built a coaching business. And so when I really started looking, okay, what did I do in the past with that served me well, that made me more revenue, that built my profitability, that allowed me to expand. And it always kept coming back to I sold premium services. I sold packages and services that were premium. When I owned a health club 20 plus years ago, we had a $12,000 membership. That was unheard of back then, and we sold them. So I started looking at all of that and I said, that's what I'm not doing. And I'm also was taught to do something very short term, like nobody's going to buy coaching for 12 months. Or I was even told that by a coach, nobody's going to buy coaching for 12 months. Again, when that's all you're exposed to, when you come into the market, you try to do those things. And I found out that was just garbage, right? Because I've had clients for years now, but it was all those things. So it was like sell this little thing, this 90-day thing, and then just sell that over and over again, very rinse and repeat. I did that and I made money doing that, but I was so frustrated because I said, I am better than this. Like, I want to help people build businesses. I don't want to just sell them a thing and then move on and watch them move on. And it was all of those things that I just was so frustrated with my business. And I didn't feel like I was serving my clients at the highest level or even serving them with all of the years of experience. So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to do things differently. And that was several years ago. And I'm going to help other people do the same thing. So,
Did you go through, Anna, like a rebranding and so forth when you
oh,
made
I
this
did.
decision? Okay.
Hmm.
So
I
tell us
did.
about that a little bit.
Yeah. So when my podcast is a perfect example. When I started my podcast, let's say I've been podcasting almost 4 years now. It was originally called The Strategic Edge. And my podcast was to use it as lead generation, but also put value out there, right? And share expertise and knowledge. But when I started doing the whole expert in you brand, I wrote my book. So I started building that brand. I completely rebranded everything and even rebranded my podcast. And now it's been Expert in You for years because that was encompassing everything that I really was doing with people is helping them take their expertise, build a lucrative business around it. And I always say too, I build a $1 million business with $100,000 clients. That's a very different business model than what a lot of people are out there doing. So it was not an easy road, Bill. I'm just going to tell you. I think this was the hardest business I ever built because of all the stuff that I was taught and bought into that didn't serve me very well.
I'm a big fan of the Pareto principle. And in my case, I take it to the third power. But yes, there are an inordinate amount in almost every industry, an inordinate amount of really crappy advice that people unfortunately listen to and take it. So you're a strategic kind of thinking person, certainly. But right now I'm imagining there's at least a couple things that are holding you back. So what's holding your business back right now, Ann?
What is holding me back? The only thing I would say at this point is I am in the process of hiring a couple of people for sales for the media and agency side of my business. I'm always in growth mode. Like I'm always looking to go to the next levels. Things have evolved this year with AI and some things have shifted and changed. So navigating those waters a little bit. But I wouldn't say that I really feel like anything's holding me back. It's part of the process, right? You're just growing and you're trying to move things to the next level. But from the media side of my business, my Expert in You, I just launched a magazine. So I'm looking for sponsors for that, which is why I'm looking for someone in sales. I am building that up, that media side up. So that right now has got part of my focus as well. And so right now, that's probably my biggest thing is splitting myself a little bit between those two businesses.
But it's fun for you, I'm sure.
It is. I'm having a blast for sure.
Tell us, Ann, what's the best way for our listeners to get a hold of you?
Yes, you can book a call with me at acarden.com if you need some help building or scaling your coaching or consulting business, or you like what I've talked about, or you can certainly go to my website at anncarden.com.
So, Ann, tell me, is there a question, I'm imagining there is, that I didn't think of that I should have asked that would give some huge value to our listeners? So tell us, what is that unasked question and the answer to it, Ann?
Yeah, what is the unasked question? Gosh, we've covered a lot. I'm a talker, so we have covered a lot. I think the biggest question people would probably ask is, can I do this? Can I build out a business that's high end, that's premium? And I would say if you have expertise and you have skills and you have knowledge and you have invested a lot of time into whatever it is you do, yes, the answer is yes. So don't buy into some of those other things. But I think a lot of people ask that. They think they can't do it. And it really does just come down to how you put the pieces together. I have yet really found anyone that couldn't do it. So I would say yes.
That's gorgeous. I love it. Okay. So the challenge has been laid down by Ann to you listeners. She hasn't found anybody that can't do what she's talking about. That's really wonderful. However, in closing, let's focus on the single fact that businesses do not become extraordinary in a single moment. They get there as a result of the owner first creating a strategic vision for the future. Mm-hmm. Second, employing a management system to execute on that vision. And number three, leveraging high performance teams, whether they're on your personal payroll or outside resources like Ann Carden right here in front of you now. Now, you can get your hands on all those kinds of things and more. Just go to my YouTube channel, which is Business Mastery Pro. Thanks for listening, and thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me.